Hey listeners, well, I get asked this question a lot. How do you lead through chaos without burning out? Change isn't slowing down, and as leaders, we're expected to stay steady in the midst of chaos and leading others through it. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to lead through uncertainty without burning out yourself and your team, no matter what's going on around you. So let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Dennis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts and experiences and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Well, listeners, how are you doing? And how's your year coming along? Especially that we're now well into Q2 of the year, quarter two. Uncertainty. Well, it isn't actually coming in the future. It isn't actually coming towards us. It's already here. And as leaders, we don't get to hit the pause button and wait for things to settle down. Actually reminds me of a story of an executive that I was coaching, and it was the beginning of the COVID era really, and this exec said to me, I might just wait for it to blow over. In other words, he wanted to hit pause just to let it all, there was a whole lot of noise, let it blow over, and then get underway. My response to him was, no, you won't. You need to lead. Your team needs you now more than ever. Can you imagine him waiting? Would have been waiting for how many years? It's a long time that COVID thing went on. Because you see, people are looking to us as leaders to lead the way through the unknown, through something like fog, and through the pressure. But let me be very clear here. Just because we're leading through uncertainty, that doesn't mean we have to burn ourselves out or drag our teams with us. The key, what is the key here? It's actually leading deliberately with clarity, energy, and purpose. So I want to go through and talk to you about how we do that. Number one is anchor yourself first. The old analogy about you putting the mask on first before you can help anyone else. Because if you're not grounded, you're going to lead from reacting or reaction, not from being proactive or an intention. And really, leadership starts with you. Before you can support others, you've got to check in with yourself on a regular basis. What's your state of mind? How's your energy? Are you showing up in a way that inspires calm, focus, and then generates momentum? Now, how do we do this? Well, build routines that stabilize you or help you stay steady. Things that you could do is do like morning check-ins with yourself, planning time, doing some movement. In other words, that's some fitness, some activity, some physical things, and also breath work, breathing. Now, you don't need hours. You just need intention. You just need to set that intention. It's all about owning your space so you can lead from strength. And that's a pretty cool way of saying it. If you can lead from strength, it's so much better than leading it from a reactive scenario. So what should you do? Well, I think you should do this. Take 30 minutes every Monday morning, if that suits you, to plan your week strategically, not just transactionally or from a tactical perspective. Set the tone for your mindset. Set the tone for your energy and for your priorities. Yes, that's right. You set the tone. When you're going through change and there's chaos and so forth, you need to set that tone and the context and where you see things going. Don't let it set you, because if you are in a reactive mode, it's not going to be good. So number one was anchor yourself first. Number two is be clear and real about the unknown. So people don't need you to have all the answers. They don't. They don't expect you to have all the answers. But they need you to lead with honesty and direction. Now, when things are uncertain, your team is watching you more than ever. Now, I want you to listen up here. Don't fake confidence. Build trust instead. Because if you can focus on the trust, the confidence will come. Now, be open about what's changing, what's still in play, and what's going to happen next, or what's up next. This is your moment to really step into real leadership. Things you might want to think about are keep the communication strong, stay calm, and lead from the front, but do it with humility, courage, and clarity. So what works in this space? Speak often, even if the updates are unknown. In other words, you may not have all the information, but speak often. But also make sure that those updates are short in time. Create safe space for people to ask questions. And if it's a safe environment, that's a good thing. Most people are confused or most people are stuck because they have some questions and you need to answer them. Share what's true and reinforce what doesn't change. Things like the values, the purpose, and the standards we have in our organization. So number two is be clear and real about the unknown. Number three is progress over perfection. Perfect doesn't lead teams forward. Progress does. And if you can have progress, that's a good thing. Now, in this world today, being perfect or having perfection is a trap. And it slows your team down, increases pressure, and it will kill innovation. Instead, how about creating a culture where it's safe to be innovative, testing things out, adjusting things, and moving forward? If you can encourage your team to learn in real time, you'll be a great leader. But also debrief quickly. Make changes fast and let them know that emotion that is going forward matters more than trying to execute without any flaws. All right. So make sure that they know that a forward motion matters more than a flawless execution. What's your role here? Be the leader who makes it okay to try things. Celebrate progress. Reflect on setbacks. In other words, turn those into learning opportunities and keep things moving. Nothing like stopping or stalling, just keep things moving. So number three, listeners, is progress over perfection. Number four is protect your energy. See, your energy is your leadership fuel, if I can put it that way. And the thing you need to do is protect it, guard it. So you can't afford to run on fumes. Remember, I don't know, have you ever heard this terminology whereby when I have in my car and the petrol light, the fuel light, the gasoline light comes up and I go, ooh. And sometimes we're thinking, how long have we got? Sometimes we think that the car's running on fumes and that's actually helping it. Well, you can't afford to run on fumes. Neither can your team. Burnout doesn't just impact performance. It actually impacts trust, things like collaboration, and culture. So as leaders, you need to set the pace and the tone. That means creating a space for people to recover. In other words, give them some time out to recover, some space to focus, and some space to recharge. It means you're saying no to the noise and yes to the things that truly matter. And it means modeling the kind of leadership you want your team to follow. Ask yourself and your team these questions. What can we stop doing? What's the real priority right now? How do we structure our week to focus on what we need to get done and then have some time to refuel? So listeners, number 4 is protect your energy. The final one here is number 5. Always reconnect to purpose. The way I look at it is that the purpose, in other words, what we're doing on a constant, why we're here and what are we doing, is the anchor when everything else is moving. So when change is constant and your people need to know, well, what they do is they need to know what they are part of and why it matters. So what do I mean by this? So change is moving, right? And we know that it's constant. It's the one thing that we know is constant in the world today. What your people need to know is what they are doing on a daily basis, how that marries up or links up to the bigger plan, the bigger picture, the bigger vision, the purpose of the organization, but also why it matters. Because the thing is, if they actually understand why it matters to them, to the business, to the community, to the customers, to the stakeholders, they understand more about what's going on. Here's a trap. Don't let the why fade into the background. You've got to keep bringing it into the front. How do you do this? You do it by talking about it all the time. It's about you bringing it to life. Another thing for you to think about is and understand is that purpose fuels things like resilience. It really does start to help people be more resilient. That doesn't take away the fact that there's going to be hard times, people are going to go through certain things, but it actually can help with the resilience. It gives people a reason to stay committed when the road gets tough. And it reminds everyone, including you, why this work matters. So keep it alive by sharing wins and impact stories. In other words, hey, this is what we did and this is what the result was and we won here and it went very well. Or this is what we did and the impact of that has actually helped the business do this. So it's impact stories. Linking the daily work back to the bigger mission. So I talked about it earlier on, right? So always keep linking it back to the bigger mission. And that helps people bring it to life. Asking your team, what's the most meaningful thing you did this week? That question alone will help people start to focus on where they need to focus. Uncertainty, ambiguity is part of leadership. And listeners, it's always been there, and it always has been there, and it always will be there. But how you lead through it, that's what separates the reactive people to those who go on to do remarkable things. So don't try to outrun the unknown. Stand firm in it. Be deliberate. Be calm. And lead your team with focus, energy, and purpose. Because in times of uncertainty, your leadership matters more than ever. Well, listeners, your call to action this week is, if you're needing some help, and thanks to those who are reaching out, if you need some help, book a 30-minute strategy call with me. How do you do that? You go to my website, leaderchangepartners.com, and you'll see some buttons there that says book a call, and that's booking a call with me directly. Click on those. It'll come up with my calendar, your calendar, and the booking system, and you can choose the date and time for us to catch up. The other thing is that we can put that link actually into the show notes as well, and you can click on that and it takes you straight to the booking link. My only ask is if you're going to come along and do that, happy to do that. But first of all, make sure you know why you're coming, what you're wanting to get out of the meeting. And number 2 is I want you to prepare for the meeting. I want you to be coming along and you're hitting the road running with that, with your questions, your ideas, your thoughts, and so forth. Hey listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.